to choose from. Lunchtime comes and a worker named Guerrero separates himself from the others to do some extra cleaning. He has his eye on a 2-foot 14-karat gold statue, depicting a man in a tuxedo, complete with a top hat. He smuggles it into his tote bag and pretends to change his mind and join the other staff members. As he leaves the room, a disembodied voice whispers, "Put it back, put it back." The clock chimes 10, and Clyde is the first one downstairs. Other staff members arrive from different locations in the house until everyone is accounted for. Much more inviting and clean, this house is. You've all done a tremendous job. The house is so much more inviting and clean. Here is your pay for today's work. Clyde walks into his bedroom and looks around. In the left corner sits a Victorian-style bed, next to a 26-inch television, still in working condition. A painting with an abstract design hangs above the headboard. The floor is covered in lush carpet. Hanging on the wall adjacent to the bed is a mirror mounted in a 22 by 28 inch frame. The bathroom walls are green on the top and white at the bottom, along with 3 paintings hanging on the wall. A hot tub layered in a 14-karat gold and a Moet faucet sink add to the house's charm. Clyde sees a drawer, opens it, and finds 9 individual candle holders, with candles in the top dresser drawer, and places them on the bathroom shelf. He fills the tub with lukewarm water and settles in. The combination of a hard day's work plus the soothing warm water places Clyde in a state of tranquility. Unable to stay awake any longer, he falls asleep. A gentle breeze through an open window causes the candles in the bathroom to flicker for a moment and blow out. Clyde sits sleeping in total darkness. A thick mist begins to seep from underneath the bathroom door. In minutes, the entire bathroom is engulfed in this glowing mist. The sound of something shuffling around in the darkness awakens Clyde from his slumber.
Huh?
He sits up and realizes that not only is he immersed in total darkness, but he's not alone. Fear wells up in his chest. The beating of his heart sounds like a drum and increases as the shuffling sound draws closer and closer, followed by silence. The tension is too much. Not sure what to do next, Clyde sends out a universal greeting.
Hello? Hello?
There is silence. A sense of terror from the unknown as Clyde backs up against the tub. A low guttural growl emanates and seems to come from everywhere, as the eyes of the dead appear next to the bathtub, followed by a flash of lightning from outside, revealing a quick glimpse of something demonic. His claw reaches out and grabs Clyde by the throat and screams out in terror. He wakes up and looks around. Everything appears normal.
Oh, it was just a dream.
He gets out of the bathtub and dries himself off. He looks in the mirror and notices 2 scratch marks across his throat. Clyde touches his throat. The shivers go down his spine. He thinks about what has just transpired. He turns off the light, walks into his bedroom, and gets into bed. Sleep doesn't come easy as Clyde relives the horror of what just happened. As the night wears on, the Sandman claims another victim, and Clyde slips into a nightly slumber. The house seems to mimic its owner as it shuts down for the night. An occasional creak signals the battle between Father Time and the will of a house to survive. Time passes. All seems calm as the clock strikes 2. An unearthly sound is coming from the guest room down the hall. From the cover of darkness, a sliver of light emerges as an apparition materializes from the guest room and walks down the hall past Clyde's door. Clyde opens his eyes and shivers as the temperature in his room plummets to 2 degrees Celsius. The afterglow illuminates the entire hallway. As the specter makes its way down the hall, Clyde gets up to investigate. His breath billows out like smoke.
What's that?
He looks around the corner and sees what appears to be a ball of fluorescent light. As he looks closer, he notices that this light has arms, legs, and a head. In fact, it is the spirit of a man dressed in a top hat wearing a tuxedo. The entity descends the staircase, floats toward the front door, and disappears. 50 miles outside of Deadwood, Guerrero sits at a bar enjoying a drink. A bag containing his ill-gotten gain sits on the table in front of him. He beckons a few women over to join him at the table. Waiter, a round for everyone at the table.
Coming right up.
You ladies are in the presence of a soon-to-be rich man. His attention is diverted by the sight of what appears to be a man bathed in fluorescent light and wearing a tuxedo. It tips its hat.
Okay, yes.
There's something sinister and dark about this apparition that is terrifying yet fascinating at the same time. Guerrero looks away and tries to ignore it.
Hey, are you okay?
Oh yeah, I thought I saw an old friend. Guerrero looks back at the door and sees nothing. When he turns back, the apparition is standing at the foot of the table, its suit tattered and torn, its face sunken in and deformed. It stares at Guerrero through hollow eye sockets, tips its hat, and then disappears. Guerrero pushes the women out of the way and runs to his car. In his haste to get away, he runs into a couple walking to the bar. They fall down as Guerrero scrambles to his feet. The apparition appears next to him.
Put it back. Put it back. That's you. Are you kidding?
The apparition transforms into a salivating zombie and reaches for Guerrero as it shuffles toward him. Rattled, Guerrero gets into his car and speeds off. 10 minutes into the drive, the spectral zombie appears by the side of the road. Guerrero doesn't stop. He turns on the radio to take his mind off things, pulls out a cigarette, and lights it with his car lighter. He takes a puff, looks in the rearview mirror, chuckles to himself, looks straight ahead, and continues driving. From the back seat comes an unearthly moan. Guerrero looks in the rearview mirror and sees the specter staring at him in the mirror. Guerrero screams out in terror, causing the car to swerve as he struggles to maintain control. He pulls into his driveway, stumbles out of the car to the front door, goes inside. Fumbling for his keys, he opens the lock and runs to his bedroom. He opens a chest located at the foot of the bed, then shuffles through an assortment of items and valuables. Guerrero unwraps a green towel, revealing a 14-karat gold statue. The Revenant appears in the bedroom doorway and shuffles toward Guerrero. He backs off and runs through the back door into the kitchen. The vengeful Revenant causes paintings, vases, CDs, and bottles to fly off the shelves. Guerrero shields his face. He can see the front door ahead and makes his way there. A plate strikes him in the back of the head. Dazed and confused, he stumbles toward the door. The specter reappears behind him. Frightened and delirious, Guerrero runs out the front door toward his car. He places the statue on the hood of his car, pulls his hands up to the sky, and begins to back away.
Okay. I'm taking it back. Will you?
The specter reappears, shuffles toward Guerrero, and grabs him by the throat. The sight of the monster up close is too much for Guerrero's heart to handle. He grabs his chest in pain and collapses to the ground. The specter floats above Guerrero as he goes into convulsions, causing his hair to turn white as snow. Guerrero's head turns to one side. His eyes remain open from the shock. The spectral zombie and the statue fade away. 3:30 a.m. A humming sound wakes Clyde from his slumber. From the corner of the room, a dim light manifests and then dissipates, leaving a gold statue in its place. Clyde walks over to investigate. As he touches the statue, it feels cool like ice. Too tired to really care anymore, he climbs back into bed. His gaze on the statue as his eyelids grow heavy, he falls asleep. Minutes pass. The mirror on the far wall near the television set begins to glow, as a strange light envelops the room. The sound of heavy breathing is coming from the mirror. Two red eyes manifest and scan the room. From the mirror, a creature emerges, standing 6 feet tall. It has elongated arms and leg-like appendages. It floats out of the mirror and moves toward Clyde's bed and hovers there. Clyde is jolted awake by a shaking bed. Startled, he sits up sleepy-eyed, confused, and disoriented. He looks up and sees a creature of shadow hovering over his bed. He scrambles out of bed, falls to the floor, pulls himself to the bedroom door and down the stairs. He looks back and sees the shadow creature hovering in the doorway of his bedroom. He gets to his feet, runs into the kitchen and grabs his car keys. He runs outside to his car, looks back, sees the shadow wraith phase through the front door and disappear into the brush. Clyde gets into his car and attempts to start it, but the motor will not turn. Frustrated, he steps on the accelerator and turns the ignition once more. The car lurches forward, sputters, then dies. From the bush, the shadow wraith emerges. Clyde tries the ignition once more. The car sputters, lurches forward twice, misfires, then accelerates. Woohoo! The shadow wraith gives chase, but turns back at the last second as Clyde speeds off into the distance. After an hour of driving, a tired Clyde pulls over to the side of the road and pulls out his cell phone. He searches through the address book and finds an old friend.
I think Barbara McKinney stays a few blocks from here. I'll tell her that I'm passing through on my way to San Marino, and I just stopped by to say...
Clyde thought about the
hello.
hospitality she used to show him. He could sure use some of that right about now. He gleefully dials the number. The telephone rings. A man with a deep voice answers.
Hello?
Caught off guard and not sure what to say next, Clyde says nothing.
Who in the hell is this?
Don't call back here anymore. Sicko. The next morning, Clyde gets awakened by the sound of a police officer's billy club tapping against the driver's window.
All right, pal. Let's get a move on.
Startled,
This ain't a hotel,
Clyde
you
reaches
know.
for his keys and starts up his car.
10:30 a.m. Perfect. Scott should just be pulling up to the office right about now.
As Scott walks into the office, Clyde pulls up into the parking lot, gets out of his car, and walks into the real estate building. Surprised, Scott sees Clyde and approaches him.
Well, hello, Mr. Hanks. And how are you today? Not too good, Scott. What? I don't understand. You made all of the pertinent disclosures, but failed to reveal the most important one. The house is haunted. There, I said it. Haunted? You mean as in boo? That type of haunted? That's exactly what I mean.
Scott could give a rat's ass. As far as he was concerned, a sale was a sale. But this wasn't your ordinary sale. This transaction made Scott a multi-millionaire. So he would at least hear Clyde out on this one. After all, he owed him that much, he thought.
Mr. Hanks, we are only to disclose that information if someone recently died in your house. Even so, we didn't find any records of paranormal activity taking place at the location. I see. Well, just humor me by coming back to the house. If nothing happens while you were there, you can call me crazy or whatever you want, and I will leave you be.
The two exit the building and get into their cars. Clyde is hoping that Scott will keep his promise and follow him to the house, just to be sure he'll trail Scott there. 45 minutes later, they arrive at the property.